Get quiet. What if I told you that you're always interrupting yourself? What if I told you that you have a conscious goal and a subconscious mind? What if you get your wires crossed? What if you think you are pursuing certain goals and end up sabotaging yourself or undermining yourself? This actually happens quite a bit. People think that they are being focused, that they have a set goal in mind, that they are doing things intentionally. Unfortunately, for the life of them, nothing seems to work. They think that they're going through the right process and they're focusing on the right things, but regardless of how much time, effort, and energy they put in, they keep tripping up. Things take a lot longer. They make serious mistakes. It takes a lot more effort. In many cases, they end up in a far worse spot than when they started. What's going on? Well, it boils down to people interrupting themselves. They can't help it. They feel that they just go through their thought process in an automatic or semi-automatic way, only to produce the same results each and every time. To break free of this, you only need to do one thing. Get quiet. I know it sounds simplistic. A lot of people will quickly dismiss this idea, but the truth is, if you get quiet first, a lot of the things that you're struggling with become easier. You start getting a big picture view of what it is you're doing despite your conscious goals and objectives. You put yourself in a position where it becomes easier for you to take action that will finally get you out of the tough spot you're in. It all boils down to deciding to get quiet first. Stop editing your thoughts. One common way people trip themselves up and interrupt their ability to focus so clearly that they turn their thoughts into reality involves editing. Believe it or not, you're constantly editing your thoughts. Maybe this is due to other people's expectations of you. Perhaps you're thinking of thoughts that you think you shouldn't be thinking. Possibly you are willfully trying to impose a certain interpretation on your thoughts. Whatever the case may be, you're engaged in one form of editing or another. Stop it. Your first goal should be to think as clearly as possible. You don't really know what your real thoughts are when you're always editing them. How can you get a clear understanding of your mental processes when you can't even bring yourself to admit the raw, uncut, unfiltered version of your thoughts? You quickly realize that there's really nothing to apologize for. Sure, you may be thinking about really horrible stuff. This stuff might even be embarrassing or trigger some sort of guilt from the past, but they're your thoughts. Nobody can see them. They only exist in your mind. Let them flow. Stop trying to filter them. Stop trying to warp, distort, or somehow control them. Instead, focus on clarity. What exactly are you thinking? It may be scary at first, but that's a small price to pay for the power that will arise from clarity. Choose to be clear first. Stop editing your thoughts. Stop editing your feelings. When your thoughts flash in your mind, it's too easy to try to impose some sort of meaning into them. In other words, it's too tempting to analyze them as they materialize. The reason people do this is because thoughts are never emotionally neutral. Once a thought appears in your mind, it triggers a range of emotions. This can be positive or negative, but there are always feelings involved. It is no surprise that once people perceive some sort of mental image, they quickly jump to the feelings that they're getting, and guess what? They try to control those feelings. It's like when you're walking through a mall holding hands with your kid and you see another person. Your kid starts to laugh and you turn around and tell your kid not to laugh. That's what you're doing with your feelings. You perceive certain things in your mind and you know that you have developed an emotional reaction, so you try to stop or edit that feeling. Either you're trying to cut it out altogether or reshape it to something more acceptable or something more expected. This is a problem because when you do that, you're not being honest. If a certain mental image flashes in your mind or a certain memory appears in your head, let the emotions come. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to apologize for. These are your emotions. Again, your first objective is to be as clear as possible regarding what you're feeling. Later on, you can work on implications. You can work on focusing on what this all leads to, as well as lining these up with your grand life objectives. Watch your thoughts like clouds. One of the best ways to get quiet on different levels is to simply watch your thoughts like clouds. Here's how you do it. Find a dark room. Make sure that you won't be interrupted for at least 15 minutes. Close your eyes and slowly breathe in and out deeply. After about 3 to 5 repetitions, you should be feeling relaxed. Next, focus your mind's eye on the thoughts appearing in your mind. Once the images appear, do not interpret them, do not analyze them, just watch them. This means you're going to acknowledge them, but you're not going to judge them. These are two totally different things. For example, when you were a kid in elementary school, maybe you got abused by bullies. Perhaps there was a guy named Jeff who was really harsh on you, and for the longest time, you always remember Jeff and you feel really, really negative, angry, upset, powerless when the mental image of Jeff appears in your mind. When you watch your thoughts like clouds, you let Jeff's image appear, just like a cloud overhead. But instead of allowing yourself to instantly feel angry, upset, or feel powerless and weak, you let Jeff's image come. You acknowledge to yourself that is Jeff from junior high. Notice how neutral that statement is? You don't follow it up with, that was my oppressor in junior high. That is the guy who stole my childhood. That is the guy who makes me feel so weak and impotent to this very day. You don't say any of that. Instead, you just say, that's Jeff. When you do that, you take ownership of the memory. This actually happened. This is part of you whether you like it or not. Most importantly, you don't impose any judgment on him. Just like a cloud passing by, it's neither good nor bad. It's just passing by. Let it pass through. When you do this, you take power over your mental state. You then count your breath and you repeat the process with another memory. This way, with enough repetition, your memories no longer have a negative hold on you. You no longer feel triggered so that you respond in a very negative emotional way. You feel in control. It's not like you're denying these memories or sweeping them under the rug. You accept them. They actually happen, but you let them pass. Sooner or later, it dawns on you that these negative memories that you did not choose, by the way, don't have to have a hold on you. They don't have to bring out the very worst in you. Instead, just like clouds, they appear and then they disappear and pass on. Sooner or later, if you keep repeating this and you plug into the quiet calm made possible by your breathing exercise, you start having a more productive relationship with your past as well as your future. How come? Well, you can also effectively deal with your worries about the future using the technique above. It all boils down to saving the eternal moment. When you focus on the present moment right here, right now, you get power because in this very second, you don't have to do things the same way you've always done them. You don't have to feel sad when the mental image of your father who broke a broom on your back when you were a kid flashes into mind. You just say, that's my dad. You don't have to step into a rabbit hole of rage when the picture of your mom who slapped you in front of a lot of people when you were all of 5 years old flashes in your mind. You just say, that's my mom. Do you see how this works? That's the power of the eternal moment because the eternal moment gives you choice. Finally, if you keep repeating this process, you stop chasing after answers. You stop asking, why? Why me? Of all the kids, why did I have to live that life? And other related questions. Once you stop chasing after the answers and you practice getting quiet, you quickly realize that the answers come to you instead.